Hey everyone. Yeah. So I just Hey everyone. So I just want to start by saying thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, for watching. We just hit 10,000 subscribers, which is like utterly insane to me, and it's hard for me to even wrap my head around that so many people care about my opinion and what I have to say about things. It's pretty surreal, and I'm really just so grateful to all of you for all the support, the viewership, the community you've built up. It really means like more than I can really put into words, but just so you know, like it really means like the most to me. Um, yeah, it's something I never imagined from starting that first video of Bleach, where I just wanted to vent about how that section of the story made me feel, and then to kind of continue through the way I have. It's really been such an incredible experience, and it's really a lot of that has to do with the way I've been doing and sharing it with you guys. And yeah, I can't wait to continue growing the channel and looking at new things. Of course, going through Bleach, and I just really appreciate it so much. And yeah, I'll probably have to film this in two parts because we did get a lot of questions. So probably in a little bit, I'll probably have changed clothes, but I wanted to start answering them now, and then go from there. But thank you so much for everything, really, for being here on the channel, for supporting me on Patreon, for even bothering to take the time out of your day to listen to what I have to say about, Bleach, or if you saw the Ghostbusters video forever ago, or my video on Brook and One Piece, whatever it is. If you've stuck with me, if you've watching this for the first time, welcome. I can't wrap my head around it really, but I appreciate it. And wherever you are, I hope you're having a fantastic day, and thank you so much um, for supporting the channel. Just thank you. Now, to have some fun with this, I decided, what should I do? What can I do to celebrate 10,000 subscribers? I'll do a Q&A. I'll do a fun Q&A. People can ask whatever they want, and I'll film it in multiple parts, like probably two parts, just from the way my schedule is right now. But yeah, it'll be fun. So let's do it. Let's answer some questions that you guys have sent in. Thank you for the questions. Let's do this. Will you be reacting and ranking anime openings since they're all fire? Keep up the great work. Reacting to, probably not, as far as previous openings. Ranking, yeah, possibly in the future. I'll be ranking the anime openings. I will be reacting on Patreon to the Thousand Year Blood War first opening once I'm finished with the episodes. I've been avoiding looking at that opening. That if you watch on Patreon my anime episode reactions, you'd see that I don't look at the screen when that's happening. People said they're spoilers. So I will, when I'm done with the episodes that would be spoiled, I will react to that opening and give my thoughts on it. So yeah, sort of, but also, yeah, previous openings, no, I won't be reacting to those because I'm used to those. Will you please do a review of Can't Fear Your Own World, different volumes, or how are you doing the Bleach reviews now after the series is over? Is Can't Fear Your Own Worlds is like another novel, right? Like another like side story. I'll probably review that, I imagine. Or different volumes. Like anything Bleach related, I'm pretty much open to looking at and reviewing if you think it'd be interesting. How will I be doing Bleach reviews now after the series is over? Bleach is always going to be a big part of my channel, even when I'm done with it. And one of the things I'm actually most looking forward to with Bleach when I'm done is going back and doing like character, studies and rankings. And now that I will have the full picture, once I have the full picture, going back and seeing the arcs as a whole, I would love to talk about that. And I kind of already do that a little bit in my analysis videos, but to really like focus specifically on different things with the whole story in front of me, yeah, that'll be interesting. So there's going to be a lot of Bleach after it's over on this channel, so don't worry about that. It's always going to be like the foundation and the backbone for this channel. So have you finished Jujutsu Kaisen yet? No, we have not. We actually have barely progressed at all. We finished the first season. We're waiting on our friend to watch the movie with. She really wants to watch the movie with us. She's a huge fan. And then we'll watch season 2. But yeah, we haven't progressed much on that, honestly. Have you watched Neon Genesis Evangelion? No, I've heard of it though. It's like a mech show versus kind of, is it like Pacific Rim kind of? It's like mechs versus monsters. Like I've heard of it. I know of it. Will you read the Kubo Q&A questions on Club Outside, since there is at least a novel's worth of info there? Yeah, probably. Once it's safe for me to with spoilers, I'd love to hear his answers to different things. I have so many questions for him. Love your videos and insight analysis on Bleach. Thank you very much. Up to this point, because I know it's possible it will change, do you prefer the manga versus the anime or vice versa? Could you name things you like, dislike of one media over the other? It's interesting. It goes back and forth. I don't really have a preference over which one overall. There are aspects of both that I prefer. I prefer Kubo's original art to some of the, but I also prefer seeing the movement and the speed and the ferocity of like fights in the anime. And I love having the music of the anime, but I can listen to the music. Well, I could, but not really anymore when I'm reacting to it while reading the manga. But yeah, the manga, I like the style of it. I like seeing Kubo's art style change. I like that that's like the rawest form of his vision. But the anime, I mean, I love seeing it in motion, especially the music, hearing the voices. There are aspects to both that I really enjoy. Have you watched the Bleach filler arcs slash episodes? If so, what's your opinion on them, unless you skip them to follow the manga? I did skip most of them. I've been mostly sticking to the canon. Obviously, I watched the movies, if you've seen those reviews, and I did accidentally stumble on the Forest of Menos little filler arc. But as far as the bigger filler arcs, no, I have not. I do plan on watching them when I'm done with the series. That's on the agenda. Eventually, I will look at the fillers. So, not Bleach related, but have you read slash seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? If not, has anyone encouraged you to give it a try? If not, let me be the first to do so. I think it might be right up your alley. It actually is right up my alley. I adore Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's one of my favorite anime of all time. It's very special to me. I probably discovered it in like 2011-ish, 2012 maybe. And I loved it so much I showed it to my mom. It was about a year before she passed. And she really loved it, which was very special to me. Like she wasn't a big like anime person. She did watch up through Alabasta of One Piece just because I, kept bugging her about it. And she did watch. It's not really anime technically, but she loved Avatar: The Last Airbender. We did watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood together, and that was very special to me, considering that it was shortly before her death. But yeah, that series is hugely important to me. I'd love to talk about it more at some point. It was important too because I have an older brother. It's just the two of us in our family, so it hit on a lot of different levels. Obviously, once my mom passed, the story took on even more emotional meaning for me. Yeah, I'd love to talk about Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Interestingly, I have not watched Full Metal Alchemist, the original anime. At some point, maybe I'll watch it, but I've always been too scared to because I love Brotherhood so much, and I know Brotherhood is more true to the manga. So I don't know. I've always been a little scared to check out the original anime, but maybe I will at some point. Not Bleach related. Oh, I just read that. Cheers and keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you so much. Do you skip the openings and endings of Bleach? If not, what's your favorite opening and ending? So like I said, I have been skipping the Thousand Year Blood War ending, but I will, or opening, but I will be checking it out once I'm able to. The ending I've now seen of Thousand Year Blood War. The previous opening and endings I've all seen, and I wasn't skipping them during my original watch through. If there was something super, I don't think there was anything that spoilery. Although no, I didn't watch the. My friend said don't watch the Fullbring opening at first because that showed a lot of the characters. I didn't see that beforehand. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's usually like I haven't been consistently doing either one. It's been mostly based on recommendations. What's my favorite opening? I'm gonna be honest. I love that original opening, the very first. It fills me with nostalgia that I really shouldn't have because this isn't technically that nostalgic for me because it's only been a few years. But yeah, it transported me back to that era of anime. Like whenever that came out in the 2000s, like it hits me in that nostalgia feeling. But that's probably my favorite. As far as ending, I'm not sure offhand what my favorite. I'd have to at some point I'm gonna rank the openings and endings maybe. That and then I can look back at all of them and decide. You say you're a writer, so have you published anything, slash you wrote for something that was published, or is it just a hobby? So I'm a ghostwriter, so a lot of the things I've written have been published, just not under my name, and in different formats, and mostly ebooks, sold through different publishers internationally on Amazon. I have written my own things that I hope to publish someday. But yeah, it is more than a hobby. But yeah, I haven't. My name hasn't officially been published on my own work, which is interesting. It's a whole kind of interesting feeling. My favorite Quincy so far, as not or as note. I love him. I think that he's scary, and I appreciate everything he brings to the series. He's my favorite one so far. I love his design. He's so cool. Which character has your favorite design so far? That's a tough question. So many good designs. The ones that come to mind, Barragan's Resurrection is just hits me right exactly where it should. It's so good. I did love Ginjo's transformation when he first got the armor. I thought that was a cool design. Kenpachi always looks great. That's a great design. Both hairstyles. Who's had the biggest glow up in your eyes throughout the series? It's a good question. Maybe Toshiro? I like his look now a lot more than I liked it before. Maybe Toshiro. But also Aizen. He's glowed up and down, and he's gone through a lot of different interesting changes. But also great design is just Tozen in general. He was great. He was great. Do you think romance is necessary in the stories? I mean, Oda didn't want any romance between Straw Hat crew members. That's true. So the story doesn't touch on that aspect. Many mangaka don't include romance much either. Did you ever feel One Piece or Bleach or any mangas you've read so far as missing the romance aspect? I do love romance in stories. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm not one of those people that watches like Hallmark movies because romance. But like, I do feel a lot of times romance does add a lot of great things to stories, and it can be handled well. It can be handled poorly. Obviously, the Star Wars prequels romance is hugely important to the story, but I feel the execution of that romance is lacking in a lot of ways, but it's carried by that beautiful romantic John Williams theme across the stars. Does One Piece or Bleach, are they missing that romance aspect? I don't feel One Piece needs it. Like, I could see there being a grand epic long-term love story between Nami and like Sanji or something. But do I think it's worse because it doesn't have it? No. Bleach is a little bit of a different story because there is romance. Orihime and Ichigo, they don't focus on it that much, but when they have, I've really enjoyed that. Her confession to him before she goes to Eiko Mundo, I thought was really powerful. Could they focus on it more? Sure. But like Gin and why am I blanking? Rangiku, that was like this tragic kind of. I thought of it as a tragic romance as I was reading it. And yeah, there could be more. There could be more, but I think Bleach has enough that it gives you just enough to feel it, but they don't focus on. Like Kubo doesn't focus on it that much, which is fine. But yeah, there's a lot of stories with romance that it's not really much of the focus. But most of the time I feel like there's enough, just enough to like be there, but also not distracting and also not like the focus. It could always maybe use a little more, but I don't think it's like lesser because it's not focusing on the romance aspect. But I do appreciate a good romance. Good question. Complicated question. I'd probably have to think a little bit even more on that. Yeah, I'm thinking of like other manga that had a romantic aspect. Like Gohan and Videl in a shonen was like a little focused on, but not really. Yusuke and Keiko, Edward and Winry, Guts and Casca. That one hurt. But yeah, I love romance and stories, but I don't think we're missing anything really so far by not having that much of a focus on in Bleach. After Bleach is done, are you going to watch another anime? Of course, I'll watch another anime. I love anime. For example, One Piece. I've loved One Piece for like 20 years, so I'll keep watching One Piece. But yeah, I'll watch another anime. As far as covering it like this, I'm in the process of deciding what I'm going to do with that. But yeah, I have seen One Piece. I love One Piece. Hell yeah, get that man to 100K next. Thank you so much. That'd be amazing, but this is more than enough right now to. I'm just shocked by this, but that would be incredible. What are some of the biggest answers you'd like from Bleach? Such as lore answers. Ishin's backstory. That's I've been saying it for like a year now, maybe a year plus. Ishin's backstory is the biggest lore I need, especially now after recent developments. What characters are you hoping to see interact with each other? Gr- Grimjow and the Fullbringers that are with Ganju right now. I want to see like a former enemy team up. And I know I kind of went off about villains teaming up, but this is different. This is like enemies helping the hero kind of team up. Who would you say is your favorite group so far in Bleach, and is there any group you'd like to see more of? The Hollows slash Cars are my favorite group in Bleach. Is there any group you'd like to see more of? The the Hollows and Car. I can never get enough Hollows. I love them. How are you? I'm fantastic. I'm doing actually very well. How are you? How are you? It's all going pretty good over here right now. Do you have any interest in reading Zombie Powder, Kubo's first ongoing manga for the channel? Absolutely. I would love to check that out, and that's an interesting name. So at some point, yeah, I'd check out Zombie Powder, maybe after Bleach. How long is it? Is it like... I've never heard of Zombie Powder. Will you ever consider doing a collaboration with Bleach YouTuber Mr. Tomo? Mr. Tomo? Yeah, I'd always be open to collabing. I don't know who that is, mostly because I stay far away from Bleach anything on YouTube to keep my algorithm from sending me any spoilers or anything. So I don't know Mr. Tomo. But if he's a big Bleach YouTuber, yeah, at some point that would be fun. That would be interesting. I'd love to talk about Bleach with more people on here once I'm caught up to them. I personally wish Tatsuki had more screen time. Me too. What do you think she could do if she was part of the squad? I would love for her to develop powers. I thought she was going to get powers, but so far, not the case. I think Yoriichi would like her / take her under her wing and teach her personally. I could see that. I felt she was supposed to have a bigger role, just never got the chance. I agree. I thought she was going to be bigger. I thought we were building up to that, especially around like the Arrancar arc era, and then by the time the Fullbring stuff came around, I thought we were really going to focus on the group of friends, but we really didn't. They kind of got brainwashed. Soy Fawn would absolutely adore her as well, I think, instead of despise. I don't know. She's a tough egg to crack, Soy Fawn. I feel like she hates most things. Will there be a review of the first Gotei 13 from episode 7? Like a longer discussion of them? I was considering in the near future doing a video where I just give them closer looks and maybe predictions of what I think their powers were like, just from... I've been told that we don't really know. So it would just be completely no expectations, just my imagination. So yeah, maybe I'll do a video talking more about them in general. Which Bleach arc would you say is your least favorite so far? That's tough, because I really thoroughly enjoyed them all. If there's a part of Bleach that I would say is like the weakest part that I wasn't like super enthusiastic about, it was probably... There was that patch after we met Nell, but before we really got into the big fights, where it was like we were fighting the it's not the Primera Espada, it's the guys that used to be Espada and aren't anymore. I liked... God, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. He was great. Nino, you know who I mean. Why am I blanking on his name? I liked him a lot, but I thought that part of the story, as far as the other fights, was kind of like it was lagging a bit. So not really arc, because I kind of have really enjoyed all of the arcs, and it'd be tough to say which one I like least, because there are very different reasons I enjoyed them. But that part of the Arrancar arc was kind of weak, I thought. So I'll say that is my least favorite part of Bleach, probably my least favorite stretch. I just wasn't as interested in what was going on in those conflicts as I was in what came before and what came right after. So yeah, that's my answer. Do you plan on doing YouTube full time, or will it remain as a fun side hobby that you enjoy doing? It's kind of become a bit of both, honestly. I still ghostwrite and I do YouTube together. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of work doing some of these videos, so it is kind of like, at times it feels like a full-time gig that I'm also doing with another job, but it is still fun, and it's a fun side hobby, so it's kind of just developed into more of a full-time thing. Up to this point in the Thousand Year Blood War, the Quincy's have invaded Hueco Mundo and took Holabel and the many Arrancars captive, and having the Hollows killed, I know, it's so sad. Had Bargain survived and become king of Hueco Mundo again, now you're talking. Do you think he would have put up a better fight against the Quincy's, or do you think he would surrender, possibly joining their ranks? I don't think he would have joined their ranks. Do I think he would have put up a better fight? He was more powerful than her, right? So maybe a little bit. I feel like his powers could mess up some Quincy's. And the only thing that really beat his powers was his own powers. I guess they could maybe have absorbed him with his, like, reishi and beaten him that way. I'm gonna be a King Barragan fanboy and glazer like everyone knows that I am, and say yes. He would have done a little bit better than Harabel. What are your favorite Bleach OSTs, and will you do a ranking of the Bleach openings at some point? I've talked about I might do a ranking of Bleach openings at some point. As far as favorite OSTs, there's that one really sad track that always plays. God, what's it called? It's got like a sad name. You'll know the one. It's that. That's the one. I forget the name of it. It's iconic. It's been there from like the beginning. It's really sad and tragic and always makes me feel emotional. I like that track. I like Aizen's theme a lot too as well. What are your major expectations for a Thousand Year Blood War arc, and what would you love to see but doubt you will? I think even in quarter in, making that video for someone with prior knowledge would be really cool. Yeah, I could do. I do kind of want to do like a predictions video once we hit, what's it called, Core 1 after Core 1. I kind of want to pause and give my thoughts and predictions, so I'll probably do a video where I actually go into that and maybe what I would love to see. But what I doubt I'll see is, like, that's a good question. I don't know. I'll probably do a video where I'll include that thought. How do you think you would have interpreted the story of Bleach if you had watched it all these years ago on Adult Swim? Do you think you would have had the same understanding, or maybe you would have experienced the story differently? Absolutely would have been different. I think I still would have enjoyed it. I think I still would have liked it a lot, but I definitely wouldn't have looked into it as deeply as I do reading the manga and then watching the anime. If I had just watched it kind of casually, I would have enjoyed it. I would have really liked the story, but I definitely don't think I would have had as much of a emotional experience with it as I've had kind of dissecting it. So yeah, would have been a very different experience. What are your opinions on the original Gote 13 captains? Before episode 7 aired, a pic of them all spread, and it was so exciting to be a Bleach fan. That's cool that you got a pic of them before that even aired. I think they're amazing. I can't stop thinking about them, honestly, and that's why I kind of want to do a video going more into them, because they're kind of like a whole gang of Kenpachis. Like, they're a whole gang of Kennys is what I mean, like a Kenpachi Zaraki attitude of, we love to fight, and we love blood, and we will be vicious and murderous and scary. And I think it's fascinating. I think the development away from that is really fascinating. What do you like to do in your free time when you're not working? I love to hang out with my wife. I love to walk my dog. I like to write my own things that aren't for ghostwriting. I love to play some Zelda, some Fire Emblem, I love to watch movies. I'm a huge movie guy. I love to binge watch shows with my wife, but yeah, I'm a huge movie guy. Love going to the movies. I love watching movies. I love talking about movies. But you could probably tell from a lot of the reference kind of jokey edits that go into my videos. Yeah, lots of stuff. I love. We go on walks. We go on hikes. We go to beach, we go. I like to go places, like to see new things, but yeah, yeah, lots of stuff. What is your favorite generation of the 13 Court Guard squad, such as the 13 Court Guards? That's a tongue twister. 13 Court Guards during Soul Society arc, Turn Back to Pendulum arc, Thousand Year Blood War, or the original Court? That's a good question. My favorite generation. I mean, the original generation just feels so iconic because that's when we were introduced to that concept. So it's hard to beat that. And you had Aizen on the team and all. There was a lot of stuff going on inside of the squads, a lot of drama and a lot of conspiracies. And so probably the original, like that we saw, that like the first generation, not technically the first generation, but I also the actual original, the OG 13 that we saw in that flashback is really cool, and I'm really interested in them. Are you a gamer? What kind of games do you play? I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a gamer. I've played video games my whole life. Mostly a Nintendo guy. Like I'm very kind of a Nintendo loyalist. I love a lot of those series and the nostalgia that obviously comes with it, but also just they're fun, and they're not. I'm not big on. I mean, it's funny, but a lot of games I feel like try too hard to be kind of like interactive movies, and I don't really want to feel like I'm being pulled on a movie while I'm playing a game. I want to play the game, A lot of cinematic heavy games I'm not as big into. But I do love Red Dead. I play Battlefield 1 a lot with my wife. We love to play that game just for fun. But yeah, mostly a big Zelda guy. I'm like a big Legend of Zelda guy. Fire Emblem, Luigi's Mansion I adore. Yeah, but I don't play a lot of video games, but I like to play video games, if that makes sense. And thank you. I do think it's absolutely deserved. Thank you. Greetings, great man. Thank you. Hope you have a nice day. I hope you do as well. I do have a question. Are you in gaming? Are you into gaming? Because I suggest playing a game, as I know it will blow your mind, and it's Elden Ring. I do know of Elden Ring. My brother-in-law plays a lot of Elden Ring, and I've watched him play sometimes. So, yeah, that's I answered the gaming question, but yeah, I do know of Elden Ring. I do know of Elden Ring. Alright, I'm going to stop there for now, and we will pick this up very soon. Okay, I'm back. I can finally answer some more questions, so let's try to read the rest of these. Thanks again for submitting them. Alright, let's see what we got. Where'd we leave off? Once you finish Thousand Year Blood War, I'd love to see a ranking of Bleach plot twists, especially with the recent stuff with Ichigo. There's so many things Kubo fools or shows the reader that is mind-blowing. I agree, he's very good at that. Yeah, I probably will rank the plot twists once I'm finished with the series. I've been blown away by a lot of them, as you know. So yeah, that'd be fun to do. We could definitely do that. What are your opinions on all the Bleach villains so far? Still haven't gotten too much into Yuabaha at this point, but at least you've seen a bit from the SS Invasion. My opinions on the Bleach villains, I love the villains. There hasn't been a Bleach villain so far, as far as main villains go, that I don't like. I think Aizen was great. I'm going to count the Grand Fisher. I thought he was great. Ginjo and Tsukishima were obviously great, and I've really liked Yuabaha so far. It'd be tough for me to rank them, but I will say Aizen is probably, at the moment, the paramount of all of them. I feel like he set the bar really high going forward. So yeah, would you do a video ranking of all the twists in Bleach? Yes, I probably will. Also, do you think there will be an even bigger twist than Ichigo being a Quincy in the future? Yeah, probably, knowing Kubo. I can't imagine what that would be, because that was pretty massive and kind of changes the whole series. But yeah, there probably will be something even bigger. Have you looked into theme songs that Tite Kubo has assigned to each character in the manga? If yes, what's your favorite so far? I know that he does that. I haven't really gone too into that to actually really take a look at it, but it looks like you've provided a lot of that, so thank you very much. That'll be helpful for when I do look into that. What's your favorite song right now? Oh god. And favorite band? I'm a big classic rock guy in general. I always kind of have been, me and my older brother. Um, Favorite song right now, I'm just gonna recommend a band. They're kind of lesser known, but they're really good, kind of like an alternative, kind of almost Queen like, not as far as obviously icon like iconography or being as incredible as Queen, but look at the band Scarlet Opera. They do a song called Alive, which I think is like incredible and brings me to tears pretty much. Yeah, they're a really good band. If you could have any ability from the Bleach universe that you know about so far, which one would it be and why? I love all the great content you put out. Thank you. If I could have any ability, that's tough. That's tough. Hmm. What would I want? What would I want? I mean, I think I feel like having here's the problem. I trip up on names. Was it Yukio? Was Yukio? He was the video game Fullbringer. I'd want his. I feel like that'd be a lot of fun, and it'd be he could do a lot with it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with him. How's it going? It's going good. How are you? Man, I thought you had more. You certainly deserve more. Thank you. Maybe once you have a bit more variety rather than just Bleach. Yeah, maybe. I'm definitely looking into, talk about other series I want to talk about too, but yeah. What are your favorite books? You're a writer. I wonder what books you like besides manga, comics, graphic novels. My favorite books, some of them, I used to be really heavily into H.P. Lovecraft. He kind of, his work really got me into horror a lot when I was a teenager. Obviously, there's some kind of questionable undertones to some of those stories, but it was the time. As for right now, books I'm really enjoying. I recently read Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. That's really fun if you like a kind of a it's a fantasy. It's like a fantasy world, medieval fantasy. But it's he plays it more like it's a band of mercenaries, and he kind of plays off the tropes of like a rock band, and he's getting the band back together. They're like these old mercenaries that have to go back out for one last adventure. That was pretty fun. That was a fun read. I'm getting into Joe Abercrombie stuff. I'm currently reading Tress of the Emerald Sea based on my wife's recommendation. That is by Brandon Sanderson. So I'm very into like fantasy, dark fantasy. As when it comes to novels or horror books, I like Stephen King a lot, which that's like a very traditional answer, but it's true. If I had to pick my favorite Stephen King book, it's probably Salem's Lot. I think that's a lot of fun. But yeah, have you read Fairy Tail? Because it's my favorite manga, and I think you might like it because you like One Piece. I have not read Fairy Tail. I've heard of it. I know it involves magic. Um, yeah, yeah. I haven't read it, but if it's similar to One Piece, I'd probably enjoy it. Now that you've seen the Soul King and how he's essentially a thing, as Eisen described it, do you feel any sense of animosity toward the Soul Society? Also, I ride with the Quincy and His Majesty Yuabaha all day till my bones decay. That's fun. That's a fun way of phrasing it. You know, I wouldn't say I feel any greater sense of animosity seeing what the Soul King is, because I don't still don't really know what he is. But I have had a sense of animosity toward them for like a while in general, since the Soul Society arc, really, there's definitely corruption there, there's definitely questionable things. Learning a bit more about the Quincy War, I still don't know everything, but I mean, it's clear that at least 1,000 years ago, it was a big war. There was a lot of back and forth. But as far as like 200 years ago, when they exterminated the rest of the Quincy, I still feel like that was probably questionable. I've always been a little sus of the Soul Society, but I don't think learning about the Soul King, like seeing him, has changed my view of that. I think I just still don't really trust the Soul Society as an organization, as a culture. Yeah. You should be at 50,000 at least. You're one of my favorite Bleach creators behind Mr. Tomo. Hey, they mentioned him again. Sorry, but you're amazing. Love your content. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. But yeah, 10,000 is just mind blowing to me right now. Would you consider reading some of the other Bleach novels? Absolutely. Some are crucial to the story as they were made to cover what Kubo wasn't able to in the manga and have huge story reveals. There are three amazing ones that tie in or take place after Thousand Year Blood War. Yeah, I'll probably, I mean, I'll read whatever Bleach stuff, there is. I'd love to learn more and more about the story, so if there's supplementary material, I'll absolutely check it out. Always liked Bleach, but watching your experience through it gave me a new appreciation for the series. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Seeing stuff in a new light, seeing someone connect like you do and I won't ever understand, just gives me a new perspective onto it. Thanks. That's very sweet of you to say. How sorry, naive you are sometimes. Yeah, yeah. It's fun watching you react to the stuff, and sometimes it reminds me when I saw it for the first time. I'm glad it can give you a new perspective on it. That's really awesome, actually. Thank you. How are you liking Mob Psycho 100 so far? It's my personal favorite anime. You know what? I have watched only 3 episodes. I ended up getting distracted with other things, but I was really enjoying it the first. But I'll get back to it, I think, at some point. But I was really liking it. The last one I saw was the one with the like smiling cult. Yeah, I saw that one. But yeah, I was really enjoying it, and it's kind of right up my alley. But yeah, I got distracted with other things. I was gonna maybe start watching it with my friend, but we ended up not doing that. So I'll get back to it at some point, I'm sure. Who is your favorite female in Bleach as of now? I always love Rukia. I love Tatsuki. I always wish Tatsuki was more involved. Rangiku I really like, and I really liked why am I blanking on the Fullbringers names today? Ruruka. I really liked Ruruka as well. I thought she was an interesting character. Um, yeah, those are probably my favorites so far. Also, which Zanpakuto Bankai is your favorite at the moment? I really... Which Zanpakuto Bankai is my favorite? It's a good question. As far as Zanpakuto's, I always like the look of Kenny's, and I'm a little biased, but I just think it looks like that's what his sword would be. Bankai, I still really like Tozen's. I thought that was really cool. Oh, Yamamoto's now. Yamamoto's recently. That was fire. So probably that combination. Probably just Yamamoto's in general. That was crazy. What's a character you want the most to have a crazy moment? Kenpachi always. I've liked your reactions to Bleach, and I've wondered what is your favorite music from the Bleach anime, and is the Thousand Year Blood War arc music better than the originals? I think I answered it's the one I mentioned earlier as far as my favorite theme from the show. But obviously number one is like hype, and I loved when they brought that back. As far as if this music in the new anime is better than the old one, I mean it's got some more grandiose music sometimes. There's like a lot of chorus and moments. I don't know if I'd say better, but definitely on par. I've really enjoyed both scores for both. Pretty simple question, but what's your favorite food and or restaurant or any you want to try from media? My favorite food is pizza. I love pizza. I will always have pizza whenever I can. It's just, I'll never say no. And my favorite restaurant is actually this pizza joint in Fenwick Island, Delaware, called Oceanside Pizza. I think it's the greatest pizza of all time, and that place is very important to me. Anyone I want to try from media, I'm going to stick on the pizza thing. If you've seen the very beginning of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, and I'm not talking about the Michael Bay ones, I'm talking about the ones from like the 90s. The very beginning during the credits of Ninja Turtles 2, there's this pizza joint in New York that I just always wanted to eat that pizza. So that's my answer. This is a long shot, but in the Discord we have it set up so you can do live Q&As. Would that be something you're interested in for the future? We can also have Patreon only calls there. I know very little about Discord, but I'm pretty sure it's you, Ryan, setting up the Discord for me. I think that's really cool. I'm glad people can gather and talk about it. I'm just very not knowledgeable about Discord. I used to use Discord briefly, a few times only, when we had to play D&D remotely. but otherwise, I'm just not that familiar with it. But I would be weary of, you know, people posting spoilery things. So maybe after I'm done with the series, I'll jump on there. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. But yeah, I'm just very not knowledgeable. Are you interested in watching the filler arcs? I will be watching the filler arcs after I'm done. And will you make reactions for those as well on Patreon? If people would want that, then I would be open to it. I would be open to watching the filler arcs on Patreon as well. I'm not sure how long they are. I think one of them was pretty long though, right? Wasn't it like 50 episodes or something? Also, will you read any of the spin-off series like Burn the Witch and Can't Fear Your Own World? Yeah, like I said, I will read anything that is Bleach related that you guys would like to hear my thoughts on. What Bankai are you hoping to see in Thousand Year Blood War, and what are your favorites so far? I am hoping to see some Bankai. I would love to see. It's a long shot, but Kenpachi should learn about his sword. Get his Bankai, that'd be sick. I'd like to see Aizen's, just because I'm curious what that would be like if he ever gets out of prison. I would like to see. Who else haven't we seen? Well, now I'd like to see the Squad Zero peoples as well. And my favorite so far, my favorite Bankais, Yamamoto's I love. I loved Tozen's back when he used it with the sensory deprivation. I thought that was very cool. I liked Gein's hidden Bankai. That was really, really, really cool and effective. Um, what other Bankais do I love? Well, I'm a bit biased, but Ikaku's it was just so hype in the moment, you know. Let's see. Of the current surviving Espada, Grimjow, Nell, Hannibal, at their full power, how do you think they currently rank amongst each other? So, how do the surviving Espada rank? You know, it's interesting. If the anime hadn't added that scene where it made it clear that Haribel fought Yuabaha, I would have assumed that she fought Kyuuge. And if that logic, I would have said that Grimjow is stronger than her because he killed Kyuuge. But he also hit Kyuuge from behind in the surprise attack. I'm gonna guess, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna say Nell, if she can still become an adult and become Nelliel, I think she would be the strongest. Probably than Haribel, than Grimjow. But Grimjow is also the type of guy that maybe would have gotten stronger since we last saw him. So I could see Grimjow being stronger than I think. I hope to see more of him soon. Okay, we got a question about the filler arcs. I do plan on watching the filler arcs at some point. How you definitely also seeing how you definitely miss the hollows. The filler obviously has a great supply of them for you to witness. Fantastic. That gives me much greater motivation to watch the fillers to see some of my hollow babies. I don't know how far you are in processing Byakuya's survival, but here's a comment from a video that reviewed episode 7 that offers a pretty interesting interpretation. We haven't seen Byakuya get pushed to this limit before, and him begging to Ichigo the same way Renji did for Byakuya way back in the Soul Society helps give nuance to the character because Byakuya didn't exactly lose to Ichigo, just gave him a reason to forfeit the match and hope for Rukia to be saved. Yeah, you know, I think that's a fair perspective. I think that's an interesting poetic comparison between Byakuya and Renji at that point and what was necessary. I don't know. I still think until I see otherwise in the series and see that his survival is going to be worth it for the story down the road, I still in my gut, I feel like he should be gone. If you could have any Jedi or Sith teach you the ways of the Force and lightsaber combat, who would you want as your master? Congratulations on 10K. Thank you. That's a great question. See, when it comes to like the Force itself, like teaching me about the Force, I would love Qui-Gon Jinn or Yoda. I love both those characters. I think they are some of the best examples of what a Jedi should be. When it comes to lightsaber combat, though, I want to learn from Dooku. I love Dooku. I think he's one of the most interesting characters in the series, especially with some of the supplementary material. He's a fascinating character and a fascinating bad guy that the movie's kind of underutilized, honestly. Um, and I know they might have had to because Christopher Lee was pretty old at the time. But yeah, Yoda, Qui Gon, and Dooku is who I'd want to learn from. Um, yeah, yeah. Have you considered doing first time readings for any comic book series? I haven't. That would be interesting, though. There are a lot of comic runs I'd love to look at, a lot of comic runs I'd love to talk about. So I'll probably do some videos about comic runs I love. As far as first time readings on a comic series, it would have to be something that really pulls me in. And that, because the trouble with comic book series is that you sometimes you get long runs of a writer, which will be very satisfying. But sometimes you get a good run, and then for editorial reasons, whatever, it gets cut short, or you get an artist that isn't great, and it's just the consistency. Sometimes can be a struggle, but there are great runs that I could probably talk about. Um, yeah. Congrats, Agamotto. You deserve 10 million. Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Compared to other animes of superpowers, what do you think of Zanpakuto and other abilities that have been created via Bleach? What do you think about Zanpakuto compared to something like Titan shifting? I think it's really very interesting, and I love swords. I've always loved a good sword fight, so I think it's fun to have these powers kind of coming from within and externalized as swords. I think that's always fun. And offers a lot of fun designs, varieties. It's an interesting relationship we see between people and their Zanpakutos. So I really like it. I think it's been fascinating the whole time. Where did the intro to your videos come from? It is GAD Studio, and I think I used, what was it, Fiverr? When I kind of had a few month break from videos because I was just busy, I wanted to come back and really, kind of resurge the channel a little bit, like kind of make it feel a bit more like a real thing, a tangible real thing. So I wanted an intro, so I hired him to do an intro for me, and that was really cool. So, and I love it. Also, do you think the experience of reading Bleach has had or may have had an influence on your own writing? Absolutely. Absolutely. Bleach has taught me a lot about, I'd say the thing I've taken away most is how good Kubo is at kind of subtly bringing emotions into the story slowly and not being so in your face about it. A lot of these relationships don't get huge flashbacks of explanation. You kind of got to glean things. It's all there, but it's not quite as blatant. And I think there's a subtlety to his writing that I really enjoy. Also, how good he is at just creating a variety of interesting characters. Yeah. Will you ever look into reading Rave Master for your next first time reading? Would love to see your thoughts on it. I'll look into it. I don't think I've ever heard of Rave Master. Is it something I'd enjoy? Probably. Happy for you, Agamotto. You earned it, man. Been watching since Soul Society. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate that. So I guess my question is, when will you realize our true king of Hueco Mundo is King Yami? Get out. Get out. And then they say, I mean Stark. Listen, I'll accept Stark. I would have liked Stark to live, to be honest. I kind of wish he was still around. But no, Yami calling him a king is blasphemy, as far as I'm concerned. Any plans to join Twitch, at least during the final core? I don't really know much about Twitch. I know people use it for video game stuff. But yeah, that like Discord, that's another thing I just don't know much about. But I'd be interested to know the benefits and that could come from doing that. Yeah, maybe. Top 3 Bleach moments so far. That's really hard. I'd have to really think about that. Yeah, I don't know. There's too many, and I'd have to really consider more. Any chance on watching the 4 Bleach filler arcs? Yep. I got that question a lot, but yeah, I will be watching the fillers. If I had to choose, I'd go with the Zanpakuto Rebellion. That sounds interesting. Alright, got some more. What is the wildest prediction you have for the end that you actually believe will happen? I think Aizen and Ichigo will have to work together, and I think I still think the Soul King might be bad. I'm still kind of on that train that he might not be all that good. And yes, the Quincy's turned out to also not just be victims either, but I think they both might be bad. What is the Bleach manga version you're reading? Because the bulk looks like Bleach Remix, but the cover of the Yamamoto video looks like the Bleach Tankobons. I'm reading the official 3-in-1 Viz mangas of Bleach. And as far as what I use in my videos for like the visuals, those are all images my friend sends to me from scans, I guess, some other version. I don't really know much about the versions. But yeah, he sends colored versions just to make it a little more visually pleasing for the audience, I guess. What is your prediction for what kind of being the Soul King is? I don't know. I think him and Aizen, like I said in my analysis, when he was turning into something beyond a Soul Reaper, it's something beyond what we know. It's something greater, something older, perhaps. If you could add any character into Bleach Rebirth of Souls, regardless of how impossible it would be, who is your choice? Well, Baragan isn't in it, right? So I'm putting Baragan in. King Baragan deserves to be there. I'm pretty sure when I watched the trailers, he wasn't there. Will you do a sub versus dub reaction video? Maybe at some point if people want to see that, because yeah, I'd like to hear more of the sub versions. What's your favorite Sternritter so far? As Note. I really like him. I think he's really scary. I kind of dig the Luchador guy. I want to learn more about him. What was it like finding out Grand Fisher took out a Quincy? Listen, I knew he had it in him. I believed in him the whole time. I thought Grand Fisher was going to be the main bad guy of all of Bleach. Do you know how silly that feels now? But there was a time where I thought he was the big bad. Yep. But yeah, I knew he could do it. I'm proud of him. What is your next anime, manga, show / book? Woof. My next, as far as covering here, I'm considering one very soon. The manga to start reading. But first, I kind of want to do a retrospective on another manga anime series. As far as in general, I've been rewatching Stranger Things with my wife. What else have I been? I've been watching Dragon Ball Daima. And I've been watching Primal with a friend of mine. Gendy Tartakovsky's Primal. It's amazing. It's beautiful. You're on a romantic date with your wife at the best restaurant in town. As you're about to order, you realize that the waiter is a Bleach character. Who is it? My initial instinct is Giriko, because he's kind of a waiter, bartender. Anyway, suddenly a group of 3 people burst in and announce a robbery. You notice they're also Bleach characters. Who are they, and what do you think will happen next? This is an amazing question. My gut, when you said 3 characters that are Bleach characters, I pictured the treasonous trio of Aizen, Gin, and Tozen, so I guess it's them breaking in. What happens next? Probably nothing good, and I don't think Giriko could stop them, to be quite frank. I was very interested in Giriko's powers, and now that he's sort of back, maybe we'll see more of them, but yeah, I don't think he would be able to fight them off and stop them from interrupting my dinner. What a weird, wonderful question. Thank you. Your top 10 favorite character designs from Bleach so far. Can be anyone from a simple... That's one I'd have to think of. That's one I'd have to really contemplate. I'll do that ranking at some point. I'd love to do a design ranking because there's so many great designs. But yeah, right here on the spot, I couldn't give you a good list. Some of my favorite designs. Grimjow's is great. Baragan's... I think I answered a couple more of these earlier, but yeah, I love Stark's, I love Aizen's. A lot of great designs. Everything Tozen dresses in, he's great. Will you be reading another series when you finish Bleach? Yeah, I'll already have started another series alongside Bleach as well. So, when did you realize Bleach wasn't just a battle show and had some great writing under the surface? Fairly early on. You could tell that there was a lot of heart to it, whether it was Orihime's brothers, that storyline with the brother. But well, I mean, the whole reason I made this channel was because of how much Memories in the Rain hit me. So I mean, Memories in the Rain was when it became something greater to me. It became something that really endeared itself to me. So I'm gonna say Memories in the Rain. What would you tell yourself 3 years ago when you made that first Bleach video? Uh, I would tell myself to just, enjoy the ride because it's wild, and that you're gonna get much more support and people are gonna care about what you think much more than you think they will, and that your video will even help people sometimes, which has been amazing to hear. People that went through similar losses that were affected by both that and my thoughts on it. So yeah, it's been a ride, and I would tell myself just take your time and enjoy it. Filler when? After we're done with the canon, I'll dive into the filler. Whose unrevealed Zanpakuto do you want to see the most? Shikai and or Bankai? So who sword we haven't seen? Right now, probably one of the Squad Zero members. Any of them. I'd like to see their Zanpakutos. If you had to guess what the next part of the Blood War looks like, what do you see happening? I've talked about it a little bit, but I think this next stage is going to be the Soul Society kind of recovering a bit. So Ichigo's going to have to team up with like Grimmjow, the Fullbringers, and maybe Aizen, and that could be a fun, like a Suicide Squad type of group of ex-enemies, or maybe perhaps still current enemies, and have to work with them. I think that could be a lot of fun to kind of have them try to take on the Vondenreich. Will there be a review of the first Gote 13? Yep, I will be doing a video about that. What are some of your favorite character archetypes? I love a good redemption. I love gray characters. I love characters that have fun being what they are, which is why I like Kenpachi a lot. I like characters that are fun, because sometimes them having fun is infectious, and I get enjoyment from their enjoyment. So I do love characters like that just are fun to read, and that they're comfortable with who they are and they enjoy it. And even if it is something like murderous vampires, if they're having fun with it, I really get drawn to those characters a lot. Will you do a review on the special unique designs that the Bleach Brave Souls mobile game has for its characters beyond Bankai? Yeah, I probably will look at those when I'm allowed to. I did one for, what was it called, Beyond Resurrection. I did do a whole video looking at those designs. But if there are more designs, so I assume the Soul Reapers, yeah, I'll look at those when I'm told that I can. Will you be reading the Bleach light novels after you finish the manga? Yes, most likely. Like I said, anything Bleach related I'll probably check out. So far from the 16 openings you've seen, which has been your top 5? If you haven't, you think you can make a video reacting to them? Like I said, I'll probably rank the openings, and reactions to the 1,000 Year Blood War openings will be on Patreon. Where do you rank Bleach among the other two series in the big three? One Piece is hard to top for me just because I've been on that ride for so long and it's like so personal to me. But Bleach has become very personal to me and very, I'm definitely going to put Bleach above Naruto. I enjoy Naruto. I think it's good. I grew up reading it, but it never hit me as hard as One Piece did. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoy One Piece. So I'll say One Piece, Bleach, Naruto. But Bleach and One Piece are very high up for how much they've affected me and how personal they are to me. It's just Bleach is much newer in that regard, and One Piece is like ingrained in my soul throughout so many stages of my life. So it's tough to top that one. In your opinion, what should Kenny be doing right now in order to get ready to take on the Mustache Lord himself? Does he even stand a chance at all, considering how he got handled? I need Kenny to start learning about his sword. They set that up so long ago. That's what I need. I need Kenny to learn his sword's name, start developing a relationship and a bond with it so then he can become more powerful. His natural power is great, but I need him to unlock more of it by actually connecting with his sword. If you have any, what are your current plans for a manga after Bleach? I do have plans for a manga after Bleach. Probably multiple mangas because one I'm going to start soon. So I do have plans, but I'm going to leave the reveal of that for later. There's a rumor that Byakuya was brought back due to Kubo receiving death threats after he was killed off. I do agree that his death was a catalyst and a strong reason for many Shinigami wanting to become stronger. Since he's brought back, how do you feel about his character moving forward? Do you think he's going to be different? And is your view going to change about him still being around when his death was a pivotal moment? It all depends on how he's used. I do think Byakuya is going to take that loss to heart, and maybe it'll humble him even more, which could be interesting. So there is possibility for a lot of interesting things. Um, I don't know. I still feel like he should have died. But like I said, it all depends on how he's used moving forward. But if that's true that Kubo was receiving death threats after he was killed off, that's not okay. That's not okay. I don't like hearing that. That's sad. And if that's the reason he kind of felt he had to bring him back, like, I'm not going to judge him too hard if he felt like he had to because he was being harassed. That's not okay. But yeah, I don't know. That's sad to hear. I'm very sorry to hear that. If you were a Stern Ritter, what would be your letter and power? Oh, I don't know. What do W? And then like a writing power where I could like write something and it turns into reality? I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Well, what are your top 5 favorite Bleach openings and top 5 least favorite? I'll get into that in a Bleach ranking for those openings. That'd be tough to do off the dome. What do you feel the next step is for your channel after Bleach? I don't think there is going to be an after Bleach for the channel, to be honest. I mean, yes, I'll finish it. Um, but like I said before, Bleach is always going to be a backbone of the channel, whether it be rankings or character, deep dives into, profiles for the characters and my thoughts on them. I think there'll always be a Bleach presence on the channel in some regard. But yeah, there are other series I want to get into, sure. So I'll be looking at other series, but I will always be talking about Bleach in some regard, 100%. Predictions for what's coming up next past what you've read in regards to Unohana. I want a good laugh. I mean, I assume she's gonna be strong. I've said that. She's gotta fight at some point. Like, she's gotta. They've just set that up too many times where she hasn't been in a place where she's able to, or she hasn't had the chance to. We've gotta see her fight. So that's my prediction: is Unohana's gonna fight with her manta ray, and it's gonna be awesome. Once you're done with the Thousand Year Blood War arc, would you mind reading the following such? Yeah, like I'm saying, I will absolutely read supplementary materials. What are your thoughts on Jujutsu Kaisen's curses, particularly the disaster curses? I like them. They're creepy. I really like what's his name, Mahito, with the scars, and that guy. He's a good bad guy. And that one, was that a disaster curse that kind of looked like a plant that they were fighting? That was scary. Very intimidating. I think they're intimidating most of the time. I kind of really vibe with the Jujutsu Kaisen overall. I've answered some of those about the songs and about reading further. So you aren't finished with Shaman King manga and also the anime, I assume? No. I read Shaman King when I was probably 11 years old. But it's very memorable. I still remember Yo and his little friend that found him in the graveyard. I remember the gang in the graveyard. I remember the, oh god, what was his name? I want to say Ashido, but it wasn't Ashido. The samurai ghost. That was the main ghost. I really liked it. I just fell out of it. I think I got into other things or life got busy, but I'd love to revisit Shaman King at some point. But yeah, I read probably the first 2 or 3 volumes that I owned at the time. But I read them repeatedly. So that section still feels pretty memorable overall. I don't know if you've ever mentioned it before, but what is your favorite manga? Also, what is a niche series that you personally love but you never see anyone talk about? My favorite manga is probably One Piece overall, just because, like I said, it's so personally invested for so many years into it. But also, I think the best manga of all time is probably Berserk. It's probably Berserk. What a masterpiece that is. Art-wise, character-wise, that's a profoundly powerful story that affected me a lot. Um, yeah, huge influence on me is Berserk. Would you be willing to review the Jeff Johns run of Green Lantern? I look forward to your videos and would love to hear your perspective on the story. Listen, I grew up as a teenager in the thrall of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern. Or that he turned me like I already liked Green Lantern. I grew up reading Kyle Rayner comics, so he's my boy with his crab mask. But the Jeff Johns run was you had to be there to know in the community, the comic book community, how huge that was. That was like Star Wars for a period there, like the Sinestro Corps War, Blackest Night. Green Lantern was huge, and it was riding high. And then that movie, that Ryan Reynolds movie, just killed so much of the hype. And I think the Jeff Johns run, from what I remember, it does kind of fizzle out a little bit towards the end, but that first few sections, like Blackest Night, was crazy at the time. Yeah, I loved that. Would I be willing to review it? Yeah, at some point maybe, because it was a big part of my life for a long time. I loved Green Lantern for a long time, and I'm very protective of Green Lantern. After that movie broke my heart, I don't know, it's tough. It's tough. Not long ago, IDW made a crossover series between Naruto and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Which franchise would you like Bleach having a crossover with? Though I think we all know the answer. Also, what are your thoughts on the crossover? What is the answer? We all know the answer. Bleach having a crossover. I mean, what is it? Ghostbusters? That's my first thought. I'd love to see Bleach with Ghostbusters. And IDW used to have the rights to Ghostbusters, and they made great Ghostbusters comics. They were great. It was absolutely, it felt like a natural continuation sometimes. Um, that's my answer. Bleach and Ghostbusters. That'd be awesome. Is that what you thought the answer would be? Because that's my answer. Will you be reading another manga? Absolutely. If you could bring back an Espada that died, who would it be, or do you think they're just fine as they are? You know, listen, you know I'd want to bring Barragan back, but as far as story potential, I think I would have liked to see Stark. I think I would have liked to see Stark. Favorite Yu-Gi-Oh show? I guess there are multiple ones. The only ones I watched the original one back when it was airing as a kid, and I loved it. I made it like Duelist Kingdom classic. What was the city? Battle City. Battle City was awesome. I had a dual disc. I had one of those dual discs as a kid. Totally not helpful to actually play with though at the time. It just made things harder. um, and no holograms. I watched. I saw there was like a dragon. Were they dragons? There was a group of like biker guys after that, and then there was an ancient Egypt thing. I fell out of Yu-Gi-Oh. Don't think I ever saw the ending, but I loved it for a long time. I hosted a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament when I was in like fourth grade. That was fun. But yeah, there was another show. It was the one where there was like Hogwarts. They all had like different houses and colors. I didn't really watch much of it though. So my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh show is the original Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't really know what happened after that, but also Yu-Gi-Oh Abridged was hilarious at the time. All right, I loved Tristan in that. He sounded like Barney. It was amazing. If you could change one thing in Bleach from before the start of the Thousand Year Blood War, excluding Yami being Espada Zero because most people would want to change that, what would it be? If I could change one thing in Bleach, I think I would have Chad have more of an important role in the Fullbring Lost Agent arc. Yeah, because he ended up not being as pivotal as I thought he was going to be, and it felt like that was the time where he should be. So yeah, Chad having a more of a role in how that was all resolved, I think, would be my answer. And one final question, a favorite line of yours from an unexpected character? I mean, that whole speech Asnot gave about fear and how it's instinct, you know, that was so creepy. So creepy. And when he first showed up and I thought he looked like Karasu from Yu Yu Hakusho, I wasn't expecting him to drop bars like that. So his whole monologue about fear was something I was not expecting, and I really liked it. So, yeah, that's all the questions. That's all the questions. That was really fun. Again, thank you so much for the support, for being a subscriber, um, for just enjoying my content. I'm so glad people actually really like what I put out there. So thank you again. Really means the world. As always, God, thank you. Thank you, really. Um, yeah, I'll see you guys all soon. Take care.